who think racism is dead are unwittingly the biggest perpetrators of racism. They are the ones who are church going and America first talking. So if it's about being church going and America first talking, you'd say, what's wrong with that, Marvin? Absolutely nothing, especially if you put Jesus first in that order. But some will put America first and then Jesus. And that topic is for another time, but I digress. Where people go off course is when they falsely use Christianity and falsely use their status as Americans. Here's what I mean by that. As Christians, we are to hate sin, not ignore it, not run from it. Well, that's what some of us do as Christians. We have some Christians who live in a fake kumbaya world by putting their head in the sand, by only listening to a one-way street of daily information. Information that never speaks about the ills of systemic racism. And if you never hear or read about it, then you'll live in the false narrative. And it's not a problem to you. So while sticking their head in the sand on racism, they feel a sense of pride and duty to protest about abortion. And again, nothing wrong with that. I think abortion is legalized murder of children, but there should be stipulations when it comes to rape or a medical issue with the mother, which could potentially end her life. And with that, I say, leave those decisions up to her and God. But again, I digress, because that's another topic to tackle, even though I quickly gave my well thought out opinion on it. So yes, abortion is the rallying cry of civic duty for certain Christians. And again, nothing wrong with that. But let's keep that same energy when there's injustice, like the murder of Sonia Massey. There was no outcry of justice among Christians, and it wasn't blasted all over certain news outlets. I know because I looked. Because all I heard was crickets when it came to their activism. With these Christians, racism is not looked upon as sin. It's something of a passing issue that we need to get over because in their minds, it doesn't matter or exist. These same Christians are locked into one political party, and it should be noted neither party has a Christian magic seat within it. But both sides present Christian ideals while both display a decorum of a lack of Christian fundamentals. I am neither Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative, in the sense of being straight-laced with either. I'm about Jesus first. As Americans, we become delusional into thinking everything is equal when it comes to the fair treatment of its citizens. I'm here to remind you systemic racism has always been the game. It's just that the rules and players on top have varied and adjusted through the decades. So dare not say racism is not about the Bible or Christianity because it's sin and it's of Satan. Enough said.
It is not my purpose. Say it's not Dr. Price's purpose. It is not my purpose to belittle, malign, castigate, or talk bad about any person. But because I believe in the truth, and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, then I believe in letting it all hang out. Okay? Now, I'll tell you some other things about this tape shortly, but I think it's an important message, and it speaks to this issue that I have been talking about. This tape recorded message was done about 4.5 to 5 years ago. And there were some names that were mentioned in the tape. And so we have bleeped those names out. Because as I say, I'm not interested per se in you knowing who it is. I'm interested in the content of what is being said. Because I think
now, in this situation, I'm definitely of an inquiring mind, and I want to know, just from the sake of the fact that you got people out here, ministers, pastors, and so forth, who are supposed to be the epitome of righteousness. And just to play a tape of this man's voice, I need to know 100% of who this person is, just in case I happen to, and I know we already put it out there of who it is. But the thing is, for future considerations, if it's someone that we following behind or inspiring by, that I want to know that all the T's are crossed and the I's dotted on whoever this individual may be. I don't want something that's hidden in the background that all of a sudden pops up and it's not, in conjunction or in the right frame of mind with my following of a Christian person. You see what I'm saying?
Good, clear indication of where problems lie. I could tell you the name of the person. Now, some people are going to recognize it because they heard the tape before, but they already know who it is anyway, so me playing it ain't changing nothing. Okay? Roll the tape. I hope you can hear this.
Now, I respect Pastor Price for taking the high and mighty road on this, but still, it's warranted to say his name. It's warranted to say this person's name because, after all, didn't he give up Carlton Pearson's name during the series that he had? When Carlton Pearson pretty much was on the wrong side of the race issue. So, again, I think this is a situation that the name needs to be said.
Tell your kids who to go with and who not to go date. Not my responsibility. If you don't want your kids dating somebody, then you control it. But you control it a long time before they ever get to be dating age. You talk about we're friends. We can be friends with everybody. We are not prejudiced, but we are not going to date this group of people. It's not in our culture to do it. We're not going to do it.
Now notice he said this group of people, meaning if you're black. Yeah, you're seeing me in different clothing right now because I had a situation to take care of. So it's the following day. But getting to what he said, that it's not in there. He said his words. It's not in our culture. What, a culture to be racist? Culture to, come on. It's supposed to be about the culture of Christianity. It's supposed to be about the culture of Christianity. That's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be about your culture of being white, your culture of being black, your culture of being Hispanic or Asian or European or whatever it may be. First and foremost, it should be about you being a Christian, following the ideals of the Christian ways.
No problem with that. That's fine. You're not a racist. You're not prejudiced just because you set down those kind of rules. Hello? If you want, I'm walking deep, that's right. But if you want mix, fine. If you want it, that's fine. But if you don't want it, then you control it. And you don't have to be a racist about it. And I'm not afraid to talk about it because I've got 30% of a different black in this congregation. And I've talked to many of them. Talked to the men about it. I've talked to about it. I've talked to a lot of these people about it. And they all understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I know where he's coming from. And it's not from the will of God. clearly he's coming from a standpoint of prejudice. Now, if he had said, I have a preference that my daughter or son marry someone white and Christian, and if they fell in love with someone of the opposite culture, I would still be okay as long as they're Christian. Now, I could understand that because there's nothing wrong with having preference. And I think it's cool just as long as you're not pigeonholed into that preference. Because without Jesus, the bottom line is that we're all one race of people, which is the human race. But keep it real, with Jesus being the center of that union.
Beautiful mixed marriages in our congregation, but I have talked to them also, and they have not been without their problems. Hello? Come on, people, let's get our head out of the sand. And I'll get accused again like I always do that I'm against mixed marriage. I did not say I was against mixed marriages. I said it's up to you, but if you don't want your kids involved in it, then you're the one that has to do something about it, not the church. And just because you change churches is not going to help the problem. Some people say, well, we'll change churches. No, we'll move away. We'll go somewhere else and start all over. No, it's not. You're not. You're just going to take the problem with you. Hello? Many years ago, I was in the kindergarten. We came home. This young little man was there, nice young man. We just talked to him. We said, hey, look, we friends, we play. We go together as groups, but we don't date one another. I mean, we started in kindergarten. Hello? That just was our rules. Now, once somebody gets up and they get of age, they get to be 21, 18, then they can choose to do what they want to. You ain't got no choice. You can't do nothing about it. They're on their own. I tell you what, the Bible says if you train a child up the way you want it to go, when it gets old, it won't depart. It may wobble around a while, but it'll come back.
Yeah, I know where he's coming from, and it's not from the will of God. Clearly, he's coming from a standpoint of prejudice. Now, if he had said, I have a preference that my daughter or son marry someone white and Christian, and if they fell in love with someone of the opposite culture, I would still be okay as long as they're Christian. Now, I could understand that because there's nothing wrong with having preference. And I think it's cool just as long as you're not pigeonholed into that preference. Because without Jesus, the bottom line is that we're all one race of people, which is the human race. But keep it real, with Jesus being the center of that union.
We don't air condition because I'm sweating like everything. So I'll tell you something. I just decided that if I'm going to teach on it, I'm going to turn over every stone there is. Like it or lump it. Amen or oh me. Now I'm going to tell you what, I'm white and I'm saying this, so a lot of people, yeah, he's white. Hey, I got a lot of, There's only 13% of the population that is of your color. If we continue to mix it, you ain't going to be none of you left. There ain't no
Now, when he said that there ain't gonna be none of you left, referring to black people, I almost lost it right there. Oh man, this guy was hilarious right then. There ain't gonna be none of you left if we keep mixing the races. Oh wow. Mm-mm-mm. You know, the funny thing and weird thing about that is if you look back through history and say documentaries and in books and whatnot, it's always the white man who has that fear of being singled out, being left out, being um, wiped away. Oh wow! Because even right now, there's a fear of the Mexican population exploding. Matter of fact, I can look back on World War II. Now, right before World War II, there was a multitude of immigrants coming over to the States. Okay, Germans, Germans, Italians, the French, so on and so on and so on. But mainly, it had to do with the Italians and a few others who they were not deemed to be white. Okay, they were not deemed to be white. But when this fear came upon them, I'm talking about the European whites who were over here, they started to have this fear of blacks overpopulating them. So what did they do? Now, these same people, and I'm just using the Italians, for example, and they were one of the ones that were looked down upon. An example would be the gangs of New York. The gangs of New York were primarily white immigrants who were pushed to the back because they were not looked upon as being white. Okay? But the primary whites saw them as, you know what, we can bring them in and build upon our population, so to speak. So beforehand, they looked at them and pushed them to the side. Oh, you're not white. But then after World War II, they embraced them. They embraced them as to say, hey, our numbers or percentages as white people have now risen. We'll treat them accordingly, and they have.
Nobody gonna be able to say black is beautiful. They're gonna have to say mixed is beautiful. I don't mean that wrong. I don't think that we ought to mix any of the races. That's my personal opinion, okay? I didn't tell you not to do it, and I'm not gonna throw you out here.
Okay, there you have it. Once again, me personally, I would call him out. Again, taking note that Dr. Price called out Carlton Pearson, and I love and respect Dr. Price's teaching, but I beg to differ with him on this one. Kenneth Hagin definitely should have been called out by name. And even though many people knew who it was, but still, he should have been called out, especially when I initially thought it was Ernest Angley. And the rhetoric he was espousing is the foundation of a quiet, unassuming, undercover racist. Hagin is the type who will come at you talking about a family member and say, I'm doing this for your own good because I don't want you to be subjugated to the hurt and the pain of going through and the chance of being called names and even physically abused. But yet people like him are the seed planters. They are the ones who put it into the atmosphere that there's going to be trouble. And most notably, the trouble starts at home because of their innate fears and frustrations and finger pointing. They plant the seed in their offspring with the fallacy of, I'm only doing and saying this for your own good. But as I said, this sickness starts in the home and spreads throughout the children, and it gets repeated over and over and over again. These are the true racists who cosplay like they're not, but they are because they are the seed planters. Enough said.